I met Bob actually. He was doing a gig, and he was doing a gig with a friend of mine, Howie Rigo, and it was at a restaurant. That was the first time I actually heard him play, and I had been told about this guitar player that had come here, and he was teaching at a small school. So I walked in and had a listen, and I said, "Yeah, this guy is definitely different." I hadn't heard. I've heard a lot of players, but I hadn't really heard somebody play with that kind of intensity and then I don't know if it was that particular night or the next time I went there. I had the opportunity. Holly asked me to come up and sit in, and Bob was on the gig, and we connected right away. As soon as we started to play, I can't remember the tune we were doing. I think it was probably it might have been some funk fusion tune, or it might have been a jazz tune or whatever. But the connection happened almost instantaneously. He just like kind of looked up, and he had a smile on his face, and I had the same kind of look and smile on my face, and then the interaction started to happen, and we had a blast. We had a real good time, on that gig, and. This is actually before he met his wife. He was here probably a few months, just here a few months at that time. And I remember one night I was coming home from a gig, and I was traveling down. He must have been living in an area on the island. It was on the North Shore Road, and this guy whizzed by me on his bike with his guitar, up in his back, and his flipping big guitar, and he's on his bike, and I'm doing I'm doing 45, 46 clicks, which is like pretty much borderline, where you're not going to get pulled over by the cops, and it's pretty safe to drive. And Bob come by me. This guy comes by me like I recognized him as soon as I saw him, and I kind of flying up on him, and I was like tailgating him all the way, until he turned off, and then when he turned off, I stopped and I beat my horn. And I shouted out to him, "You better slow your ass down, man." So he just he thought it was just some weirdo or whatever, right? And then I saw him probably a week and a half later, and he was in town. He was in Hamilton, and he was crossing the road, probably, so and it was at a stoplight, and I pulled up to the stoplight, and he had crossed the road, and he still didn't, we had only seen each other once or twice. So I kind of beat to him, and I waved to him, and he looked at me, and he kind of recognized me, and I said, "Hey, you better slow your ass down, man." And he said, "That was you?" And I said, "Yeah, that was me. You really should slow your ass down." Right? Riding around with his flipping guitar on his moped, doing about, I don't know, 40 miles an hour, 50 foot. And 40 to 50 miles an hour. It's like not really cool to do here in Bermuda, because the roads are so small and windy, and anyway, that was like probably the first month and a half that I had met him, and then we got to do a couple of gigs, like freelance gigs, with Holly, and then we there was a situation where the gig that my regular gig that I was doing, there was a scenario where the band leader had to be dismissed, and I was allocated with the job of putting another band together. And I called Bob to see if he'd be interested in doing this gig, and he said sure, and that was the first time that we kind of really worked together. The gig the gig didn't last very long, because the company that we were working for ended up going belly up. But we spent a lot of time in that first 2 months doing a lot of rehearsals, a couple of nights a week, and the unit was really starting to gel, and it was starting to work. And then the following year we put the following year, which is last year, we put the full circle band together, which was very, very interesting band. And we didn't really get a chance to explore it the way we would have liked to, because things happen, you know. And you know, he was a very he was an astounding musician, and he was always in demand. A lot of people were calling him all the time to work, and this particular unit was really beyond doing bread and butter work, you know, the bread and butter regular gigs here in Bermuda. It was a specialized band. That's where it was kind of heading. In any case, yeah, we spent quite a bit of time together, a lot of time talking, a lot of time playing. We got very close, and we had the potential of really, it was the potential of musically, we were really looking forward to the future. It was very untimely that he left the planet the way he did, when he did. So he was very meticulous. And I guess you know, from where he you know, coming out of L.A., he was not used to the lackadaisical attitude of Bermudians. You know, he always wanted to be on top of things, and you know, and torch the fire, you know, all the time while it's hot. Keep the fire burning while it's hot. And the lifestyle here, you know, is kind of different. You know, people take things in stride here, so he always had a hard time dealing with that. You know, when Bob called you, it's like he expected a return call like within a minute. You know what I mean? Like, call me back. And it's like you didn't call him back. Half an hour later, he was calling you again. And it's like, you know. So he called you 4 or 5 times in one day. I said, Bob, yeah, listen, I got your message, okay, you know, but you're calling me 2 days later. You know, it's like, what is this with you Bermudians? You know, it's like, how are we ever going to get things done? I said, like, you know, hey, we are who we are, and you know, this thing is, but you know, he did love this place. He loved the people that he met, you know, and he was real finicky about making sure that everything was right. His knowledge of the guitar was astounding. He would be able to transpose a key, and like within a very short period of time. And there were a couple of songs, I mean, in this last project that we did, which were a lot of stuff that he brought to the table. And he would reharmonize stuff in the beginning, and when we had to actually figure out the key that the singer could sing it in, that meant transposing keys, and that meant like reorganizing his fingering all over the place, and like some of the stuff was just, it weren't just like very simple block chords. These things